What purpose does the gentleman rise?
I'd like to claim the time for 5 minutes and advise extend.
If there's no objection, it's so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This past week, I discovered I made an error on my House financial disclosure forms for 2006 and 2007. Now, let's get this clear. I properly reported my stock dividends, stock sales, and capital gains on my federal tax return and paid all the taxes in full. I properly reported dividend income on my stocks and the sale amount of my stocks on my House financial disclosure form in both of those years. My error was in leaving the amount of the capital gains from the sales off the form. I have amended both of these forms to reflect these amounts. And this has not changed my net worth one penny. There's a good editorial on this in the roll call this week, and I urge my fellow members to read that editorial. But to make this point on my issue, and my amending of my House disclosure, today I have posted online my federal tax returns for 2006 and 2007, so there can be no question about whether or not I paid my taxes as they were due. I do this because I intend to continue my discussion of the rule of law, and I think it's important that I do that. But I'm not the first one to take this step. The same year that we're discussing here, then Senator Barack Obama made the identical same error that I made on my House disclosure form. And when he discovered it, he made that omission, the same as the omission I made. He did the same thing I am doing. He corrected his return and posted his federal tax return online. I have followed the lead of the President of the United States in correcting this issue. It's now time for the House Ways and Means Chairman, Charles Rangel, and Secretary of State Tim Geithner to pony up. Could it be that the only reason these two hold back is that maybe they have something to hide? Chairman Rangel failed to pay income taxes for over a decade on his Caribbean resort property, while Secretary Geithner evaded withholding taxes on income from the International Monetary Fund over multiple years. Neither of these gentlemen has paid any penalty on their violations, as would a normal American taxpayer. The American public needs to know that Chairman Rangel has not again failed to report or pay federal taxes while still not paying penalties or interest on his previous evasions, all while overseeing the IRS on behalf of the House of Representatives. They also need to know that Secretary of Treasury is not using his high station to avoid complying with the same IRS rules as his fellow citizens, while Geithner is asking his fellow taxpayers to pay a 20 to 50% penalty for failure to report and pay income taxes on foreign deposits. He has failed to pay a nickel on multiple years of evading federal taxes on income from the International Monetary Fund. My opinion is that anyone who fails to disclose income or pay their taxes should pay a reasonable penalty with interest. If not, our tax code becomes unenforceable. But I also believe in there's a higher law here. That's the Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Secretary Geithner cannot and should not legally charge his fellow Americans penalties when he has paid none himself. That would seem to be a violation of the Constitution. Next week, I will introduce legislation dealing with the Secretary of Treasury's failure to abide by the same laws as the rest of the country. If anyone was thinking that I was going to slack off defending the rule of law because of a House disclosure error, they obviously have got another thought coming. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Mr. Burton of Indiana.